All right, beloved. So let's bless Neptune and Todd's son Horus, the sun, Labna Yarak Luna, the moon, and Malkuth, Gaia, the earth spirit. Right? I'm going to honor them all. And we want to talk about a little necromantic experience I've had. Now that my mind has been converted to sun, moon, and earth, we got to talk about what's going on here. We're talking about cosmic consequence. Here's a little story. I pulled some tarot cards because the story is actually on the pictures of the tarot cards, right? Everything that goes on in the world right now, so the entirety of the world, everything that goes on is getting highly affected by this right here. Behind the high priestess is the Sephiroth tree from Kether on down. The left and right pillar, Boaz and Jakin, right? They're the gods. They are the powerful entities that kind of make things go on here, right? And they're the planets, right? The planets. Not the sun, the moon, and the earth, but the planets. The stars are involved too. They're getting used through witchcraft to bind spiritual energy to people. See, what's going on the earth is an ancient trick. They've inverted a process that the gods gave us to indicate individuals that are doing awful stuff on the existence, right? They'll have some fruits, right? They'll have lots of money, no children, they'll do all sorts of weird things. They, in the background, are doing abominable things. Things that add other spirits to them. Because every time you get another spirit outside of yours, and there's ways to get them, ways that are more ugly looking, ways that are much more humane. But the same thing happens on the left and right pillar. These gods, these aspects, are living out their desires in other people's bodies by refracting their understanding into them, letting them know that you can get rights and access to more power here. You just got to get people into solitary confinement on the right pillar, or get people into life-changing, life-destroying things that they probably weren't going to do on their own unless you cultivated it. Same thing, white magic. Oh, no one's getting hurt. No, you're ruining lives. That actually takes people's lives. According to the powers that rule, they're telling you, through me, and will tell you later in their own time, that's what it is. Whether you physically did that thing or just part of the attaché of that thing, right? The gods are living out their desires down here on humans and judging us, but not sitting out down here and living it out. Something's going to change on that. They're living out the godly enterprise with the spiritual means of irreplaceable bodies in humans, right? Yeah, the soul's infinite. And they get you guys suckered into doing godly things, godly enterprise, and you end up sitting up in godly positions on a hard drive living all the terrible experiences you gave to everyone. Way back when, authority came through merit, or like you added value to society. You were intelligent and to a benefit, right? And people could take your information, build things, do things, cultivate stuff to a benefit. People could see the fruits. These fuckers up there, they make music. That doesn't benefit anybody. You don't need to attaché spirits to you to be good at music. You just need to apply time, effort, attention. And not everybody's going to have the ability, because that's just how the difference between the astrophysicist or the nuclear physicist and the lay person. You know, like some people have the capacity and not. You just have to deal with that mix. But no, they want to attaché all these values that are godly values, right? When I mean godly, I don't mean righteous. I mean of the upper realm, right? The natural body and mind doesn't have that, right? Right? The beastly mind, right? It's refracted from another realm. It's a consciousness offered only to our container, right? And there's ways to get access to more stuff. One of those ways they found out is to take spirits, and there's many ways to do it. Ways to do it just straight dark and nasty and figure out how to get away with it, and the ways on the right that are just much more humane, but they still figure out how to get away with it, and they use witchcraft to cover it up, right? That's what's going on each side. They put it into sigils and stuff. And sigils lock in that spirit and energy, give them access to it. There's all sorts of stuff they can do with it. It's really nasty, weird, and crazy. But the middle wants you to know that the sun is going to play a big role in that. The sun and moon. They're going to change the minds of the people, right? By people seeing them, being under them. Because everything that was done under the sun and moon and on the earth, in the world, by this people, right? The people that have godly enterprise and understanding. Just the ones that used it to do certain things, to gather power and craft, right? Through craft and deception, right? Bad deeds.
Helping people humanely remove themselves.
White magic, right? You still got to sit in Kaiwan for however long that spirit was going to live. For each one. Children. Like
the Depo-Provera or the Plan B.
Guess what? I got you spirits, right? You did it maliciously? Yeah, I got you spirit. I bet you're much more energized. You're able to initiate a career or something afterward because you've got the spiritual energy. You're only supposed to be living in a low case in this life. This is actually a neither world where you guys lived a life before and we're not good. We're not right. Now you're getting a trial life without all of the benefits to see if you'll still go worse or if you'll just eke it out and realize that everyone is just awful like that because you were awful like that on the other side. You're here receiving it. But if you continue to return it, you go further down. That's why the Egyptians kept talking about that stuff. They're not really, they're in a low position because of what they did in their previous life. We can't uplift them really. They have to come back through that upliftment through the natural godly process where they decide those things, right? And it's based on your inputs in your life, right? So, women who have done awful things, you better start thinking about bringing some children in, huh? Because you can get some kind of something for that. Men, man, there is not a whole lot of forgiveness for men. It just is what it is. I mean, you have to figure out how to bring life in. I mean, you don't play the process like the female does. Brings it in through blood, right? And they're blood in, blood out. Remember, guys. How are you going to pay that? How are you going to pay that? The body's irreplaceable, is what Saturn says. It's irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. From Jupiter on down, they're running them to the left through process. From Hakama on up, which would be Uranus, to Kether on up, they're not doing that. It's this close to earthly stuff. Really, from Saturn on down is what's going on. We're supposed to move away from that stuff. We're not supposed to get engaged in those weird rites processes, right? We get access to what we get access for the sun, moon, and earth, regardless. All this crazy enterprise, it comes from that realm. Lots of terrible witchcraft and stuff. Oh yeah, the science and industry. Well, most of the science and industry is a farce to get you to get excited about letting something go on for a long time. Who needs more diseases? You know what I'm saying? And let's make diseases we can fight. That's the right pillar, though. That's your medicine, though. Right? Your benefic things. We're helping, right? Is that how? Let's talk about the rest of this story. Right? So, what we know, everything, the people on the left and the right, right, are associated with the Sephiro in the back. The heavenly access of the emanations that emanate into our individuality, where we get mental access of intuition and other things to initiate those processes, right? To continue on those paths, right? The insights. Those powers literally are talking to us, right? So, more on that. There's going to be a time where something like this happens. No, not like the Bible, where we thought there might be hot space rocks. That's another story. But the way the Bible says this, no. What's going to happen is under the sun and under the moon, because the sun lights the moon, right? We know that, okay? The sun is going to turn on a special waveform it has. It can put out a special spectral waveform that really doesn't cook anybody, but allows you to see the spirits on people hanging off them like a tree, because those spirits that people took are feeding their body from outside their body a stream of spiritual energy, which is how they get access, how they get a certain way looking about them. It's an ancient trick. It was supposed to show us that those people are taking spirits. Those people are doing this. They're warlords. They're taking this. They're doing that, because there's a certain look that happens to them, right? An emanation happens to them. Their outer appearance changes, right? We're supposed to be able to see that, right? And instead of revering and looking at these people like, wow, these are all huge benefit, great people, they can dress and look so good, they're great. That those are spiritual entities helping you see them. You're supposed to see them and realize those motherfuckers aren't helping nobody. Why have they got all that? Why aren't they making lots of kids and stuff? Why aren't they adding back to society? Who needs all that? Know them by their fruits. Who needs all that? It's a really good point. And should they be taking lives so they can get to there? Right? Just some thoughts. Later, beloved. Necromancer out.